Hello everyone, this is Isaac White from the Crockett Tavern Museum. Now, about a month ago, my wife and I, as well as our good friend Nola Chucky Fred, were fortunate enough to go to the spring rendezvous at none other than historic Martin Station just off the Wilderness Road in the beautiful state of Virginia. If you've never been to Martin Station, I would highly encourage you go. The backdrop is absolutely gorgeous, and the fort and the cabins and shops surrounding it are immaculate. And of course, the staff are wonderful. The rangers are very knowledgeable, very friendly. So if you want to go to a place where you feel like you're stepping back in time, Martin Station is the place to be. Now, of course, I previously mentioned them little gatherings or rendezvous they have, and this one back in May is pretty special to me because I was able to snag some interviews with some of the more notable, although some of them they would say more notorious, historians, reenactors, impressionists, etc., etc. And it was quite a thrill getting to sit down, talk to, interview these people, pick their brains a little bit, and learn a little bit more of history as a whole. So, suffice it to say, this is something that was definitely a big win for me. It's something that's made quite an impact on myself, and I would like to be able to share those interviews, those moments with you, our friends and supporters. So with that being said, hopefully you'll be kind enough to follow us along for these next few videos on Friday as we listen to the voices of Martin Station. Hello everyone, this is Isaac White from the Crockett Tavern Museum, but we're not in Morristown, Tennessee. We're at historic Martin Station. And folks, we have a very special guest here for one of our episodes, none other than Simeon England. Simeon, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
Great.
Just fine. So, Simeon here may not realize this, but he is one of the main reasons that I got into this particular time period of the late 18th, early 19th century. You might recall we had chatted some on Facebook after I saw your videos with John Townsend and all that. And you gave me a lot of good advice, and I know I ain't quite nowhere near as authentic looking as you just yet, but I hope I'm making you proud in some way, shape, or form.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. So I have to ask you, Simeon, what really kind of got you interested in this time period, and was it anything like the standard, well, I watched Fess Parker as Davy Crockett, or something else?
Yeah, certainly Jeremiah Johnson and Crockett and Daniel Boone and all of that. But I tell you, I think the story, and this was after all of high school and all that, learning the story of the start of this country. That's what really hooked me. And you know, when you fight the biggest standing army with an army that doesn't exist yet, and you got to make it and all of that, you know, that's an underdog story, and I really like that story. So it's something that I was learning about, of course, as a teenager in school a little bit, but I didn't really realize until that, you know, the depth of it until just a few years later, and started really reading into it and thinking, yeah, I've got to study this part a little bit more. They weren't feeding me that enough in school. So, yeah.
Well, I understand completely. Of course, you know, we do a little bit of a different, we have a difference in time period, historically speaking. But for you, it was the Revolutionary War. For me, it was the Alamo. And I felt like you. There was one page in the history book dedicated to the Alamo, and why is there not more?
Yes.
And, you know, for me, it was Fess Parker and John Wayne as Crockett, and as I grew up, I just became fascinated by these men and their lives, and, you know, wanted to learn more about it, and, you know, just kind of took off from there.
Yeah.
So, that's very interesting, though. So, aside from starting to study more and more, when was it that you officially started getting into the Long Hunter period and reenacting as a whole?
Yeah, that'll be hard to pinpoint. That would be Probably my, let's see, that's a good question. I don't know, because I started reenacting a little bit when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
And growing up but it was more mountain man era. But I was always looking at, you buy the moccasin kit from Tandy Leather, and you make them, and they're kind of sewed together with shoestrings, whatever. And that was great as a start for a kid. But they didn't work. They fell apart. The pad inside of them, wore out. So eventually you figure out this stuff doesn't work, and I know that it did for somebody. What was going on there? And so it was sort of a slow march, but I can tell you, I ran into a hobby mentor friend of mine online, and he wound up being a historian, very genius, a historian in many eras, but he was also a doer of what he studied, and he went out and researched with doing, and then helped take me to that point. And sort of skipping a lot of those steps and just kind of dropped me there and said, here's what I've found. And that really helped. His name was Kurt Schmidt, and he goes by Michael Archer. But owe him a lot of gratitude. There was a ton of questions, emails back and forth, and he's still a good friend today, despite all of the all of the time I took. So, yeah.
And, I think that's something very important that a lot of people fail to realize is just how beneficial having a mentor can be, for getting into these different time periods. Because you get some people, they come in, they bought everything out of the sutler, and it looks like it came out of the catalog. And you've got reenactors that are trying to help them by saying, hey, you need to work on this, dirty this, clean this up a bit. But they got a chip on their shoulders. And I think a mentor is really a good thing because it's a one-on-one connection. It takes away the spotlight from other people just pointing the finger, and it really helps you to be more accepting of that, and it pushes you a lot further along the way. It encourages you. And I have my mentor for Crockett, Larry Brenneman. He's a good friend of mine, still is, but he's hung up the coonskin since. But nonetheless, that's wonderful though. And so did you guys start doing events together as time progressed?
It's amazing. We only spoke on email, and it was back and forth, and I really enjoy that now because I can go back and read those emails of the questions and all of that. So we didn't speak on the phone until I was headed up to his house to do a history tour, and that's, it was years later, and that's the first time we met, but he took me on a history tour. This is, Louis Wetzel, I can't think of the names now, but Samuel Brady, those kind of the graves that, like, this is where stuff happened. This was Fort Wheeling. This is the Gobbler Cave. All of that kind of stuff, and we did that. And you're right. The mentor that's where the work comes in. When I'm here demonstrating in the forge, and a young guy comes by, I'm putting a hook in him. Hopefully, if I can connect with him. But it's just for a minute, right? I mean, he's gone. Maybe he's really interested, and he's there for 2 hours. That's nothing of what it takes to learn. You just hope that you can push them to the right places, and that's what I try to do is go here to learn this, go to this channel to learn that, and try to help them wherever they're at. And it's something that my hobby mentor told me in one of the first emails. He said, I'm capable of helping you get to whatever level you want to go. And so that let me know right away, he's not going to force me to look like him or to be like him. And if I want to stop here, they'll be fine with that.
I mean, that's pretty sound reasoning overall.
Yep. Yep.
So now, what exactly is it? Because, some people, when they see this time period, they hear 1775 or, around this time, they think tricorns and buckle shoes, or they think frontiersmen like Daniel Boone. But, of course, they're images from Hollywood. And, we know these guys weren't wearing buckskins 24/7. Of course, that's a fat load coming from me because I'm wearing them right now. Yeah. But so, what really are you portraying? What is your persona as a whole?
Yeah, so I would say it's a version of Simon Kenton.
Simon Kenton?
Yeah, Simon Kenton's a scout and a spy, leads some military groups, some pretty popular ones, and and getting people to the places where they want to go, like on the frontier, the backcountry. He's really helping settle a lot of Kentucky. He gets captured of course, by the Indians trying to steal horses back, and runs the gauntlet several times, and is sentenced to death, by burning at the stake, and gets saved, obviously lived to tell the story, right? But I believe he was probably more of a quiet type of a temperament. I believe he was probably the guy, if there was a crowded room, he's probably the guy in the corner, just sitting back watching everybody. And I can kind of resonate with that. And that's my persona if I'm out in the woods or doing something on a serious scout. That's what I like to be. Inside the fort, at a place like this, I'm more dressed like a blacksmith. Okay. I've got the clothes of I can do the blacksmith, but if something happens, I can be right in with the militia or whatever. I can go do the scout, whatever. But I've got the apron and the workman's cap and all that, and that's what I wear. I try to look like a blacksmith when I'm blacksmithing. So I can adjust. You can adjust your persona to be whatever. I'm not a long hunter, but I can play long hunter if that's the name of the scout, whatever particular place that we're at or whatever. So it's really the scout or the spy, and watching for Indian activity.
So, for the people who might not know the term long hunter and what all that entails, would you mind giving them a brief summary of just what a long hunter was for this time period?
Sure. It's a ragtag group of guys that don't like work, and they gather up. Most of them clump up together in big groups and go into Kentucky at about 1770 time frame in the 70s, and stay hunting for probably months. They have horses. They carry horses along. They don't carry them. They walk horses along to carry the hides back. They have tools with them. They have axes. They have things that the horse can carry. They have that with them to help them on their journey. And what they're doing is they're hunting the deer hide. The Virginia red deer, the summer hides are sort of, they have that reddish tint to them, because the name of the game is the leather breeches in Europe. And Europe is buying the deer hides by the hundreds and thousands. And it's not just the long hunters that are doing that. The Indians are doing it too, selling the hides, anything for money. And so that's the deal. They may have, everybody on the group may not be hunting. They may have camp tenders that are there cooking and fleshing the hides. The hunters are out hunting, bringing the hides in, and if somebody else takes care of it, they go back out, whatever. So it's quite an operation, and that's what the long hunter idea is, and that's sort of what took off with trekking, in the 90s. Is we say everybody was a long hunter, and that could be sort of what it was, but a lot of fun, and it's a backwoods type of guy. There's a lot of guys that hunt today that sort of resonate with that type of a life, so they naturally sort of gravitate towards that long hunter persona.
Understood. Now I want to go back just a piece. You had mentioned you do blacksmithing, and so how did you get your start in that? Was it Kurt Schmidt, or was it someone else who kind of got you into that?
Well, Kurt certainly did help. He sold me my first forge and anvil, and I worked with that. I eventually gathered all of the different stuff to do it, and now, I have graduated past some of the smaller things onto the bigger things, but yeah, blacksmithing, I was a welder by trade, so I was always working with heat and metal and sticking things together. Now I just do it, historically in the fire and with the hammer. So I've always worked with my hands, and I tell people that I found my grandpa's draw knife in my dad's shop when I was 6 years old. My grandpa died when I was 5, and I asked my dad, what is that? And he showed me what it was. He said, this was my dad's. And so right away I connected with my grandpa's tool, because I couldn't connect with my grandpa anymore. So here's this draw knife, and then he put a 2x6 up in the vise and showed me how, and I whittled the soup out of that thing. And his thumbprints in the handles.
Oh, wow.
And so I connected with my family history and an old tool and how to use it at 6 years old. So I don't really know a time when this wasn't a thing in my life.
I got you.
Yeah.
Now, please tell me you still have the draw knife?
I have the draw knife, and I still have the piece of 2x6.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Much smaller, but I still got it.
It has to be up in a display case somewhere, right?
Well, it's up on a cabinet, yeah, but I know right where it is. But yeah, it's a neat thing to, you know. I just reconnected with a shop teacher from high school last week, and told him how important he was in my life. Got to, you know, really honor him at a demonstration I was doing, and so, but I told him there was lots of teachers that never reached me, because the class wasn't hands on. It was, you know, I always thought, why am I taking English? I know how to talk. You know, but I flunked history. I flunked different classes. I wished I hadn't have. Don't get me. That's not an excuse not to do good in school, kids. But there wasn't something that was hands on. His class, awesome. Got to work on cars. You know, hands on stuff, and that's really where I was going my whole life.
Wow, that's wonderful. So, with the blacksmithing, surely you don't do it just for historical demonstration purposes. Do you use it for business purposes as well?
This is my business.
That is your business.
Yes, I work full time, and it's not really just blacksmithing. I may forge for 2 days and have enough work to keep me busy for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with the pipe tomahawks I've got, I make them out of gun barrels. They're hand forged, and all of that can take, you know, quite a while. So one of them can take me a month if the customer wants that kind of money put into it.
Wow. I mean, that's astounding how you're able to do that. I mean, I've seen some of your work. Do you have an example of it on you?
I've got one right inside the door there.
Okay. Well, would you mind afterwards we
Sure.
take a picture and attach it to the video?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful,
Yep.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So
It's borrowed back. It's not mine. I made it, but the customer, he let me borrow it back and said, here, display this for a while.
So what is the name of your business, and how can people get a hold of you if they want tomahawks or knives? Do you do knives as well?
I don't do many knives.
Okay.
I do basically, I've got 35 pipes to build on the books.
Oh my goodness.
And if one can take me a month, I've got, you know, quite a list. So it's pretty much, I'm into the higher end stuff. I still do tomahawks like the regular hammer pole tomahawk. I've got the cast head that's on me right now that I've developed, and you can look at that. But yeah, I do demonstrate knives because it's a great small little project in a forge like this, you know.
Yeah.
But this is a cast head. I built the first one, and and then I made the mold, and I have them cast. They're cast out of a tool steel. This is a weapon style tomahawk, and I'm actually getting ready to release. Well, the video is already produced and will be released here in about a week. There's some, you know, when somebody brings me an original, it's this size, I film it. And so there's 2 on that video, also with a 12-year-old kid that's like a 40-year-old trapped in a 12-year-old's body. He's the owner of one of these tomahawks, and I interview him in that video. So he's got one that's almost exactly the same size as this. It's an original.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I love to see is people ask me, why are they so small? And I say, here's why. You know, they were. Yeah. So SimeonEngland.com, there's a website. I almost forgot your question. SimeonEngland.com, that's SIMEON, England, just like the country. Of course, you can find me on social media too, but and YouTube also.
Okay, and you're on Facebook, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, well, you heard it, folks. If you want a first-rate tomahawk, get in contact with this man right here. And if you want to know a lot about the Long Hunter period, how to really get your persona down pat, this man right here. Like I said, he helped point me in the right direction, and, well, I'm still coming out here doing this stuff, so I thank you a lot for all that.
Proud of you.
Well, Simeon, thank you so much.
You're
This has been a
welcome.
pleasure.
Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too.
Yep.
Folks, with that being said, this concludes our interview with Mr. England. And until our next video, this is Isaac White signing off for now, saying goodbye and God bless.